helps the channel the most. All right, I'm about to drop the link in the chat for the people because they've been going hard in these comments, boy. So we gotta see what's up. All right, let me ask this one question, then I'm gonna drop the link. Damn, I got another dope question too though. Is experience the best teacher to a man when it comes to a woman? Why should or shouldn't it be? Is experience the best teacher to a man when it comes to a woman? So when a man is looking for a woman, is he looking for an experienced woman? And if the I think the answer would be no, assumed, right? But should it be no, or should it be a different answer than no? Because well, because if you're like there's men like myself, whatever country my wife already been to, I ain't going. Even down to a restaurant.
May I ask why?
Cause
That's not a direct answer, Hemp.
oh, Nate, please stop. For you,
no, because you be getting at us. Yeah, you gotta have a direct answer. Why?
Every time.
Same reason Ro don't want to date anybody that votes.
Y'all crazy as hell. Nate, please don't try to hold nobody accountable answering a question.
If you making us be accountable, you gotta be accountable too. You the host.
Nate, what color is the sky?
Right now is black.
You see what I mean? She can't answer a question, bro. You see what I'm saying?
That's right now.
All right, sis, god damn it. Is experience the best teacher to a man for a woman?
I think it's the best teacher when a man needs it, and there are some men that need it.
No. To a man, sis. Like, if he found a woman, does he think experience is the best teacher for her?
I don't think I get it. Reframe that question. I don't get it.
Anybody else want to try to answer?
You talking about sex, right? Like I think is that the connotation? Like you don't want an experienced woman. But no, I would say no. A man doesn't want an experienced woman. Because they want to be able to teach you some things or, show you some things and probably be the best you ever had or whatnot. But yeah, I think they want a clean slate.
I was answering it right. I think I was answering it right. Okay. Can I finish?
Yeah, go ahead, sis.
I think experience can be beneficial to certain men, especially men that have mommy issues. There's a lot of men out here who still need and want to be nurtured. Mm-hmm. That's just what I think.
Okay. Man, I hope the men hit the link. Big Lex. You thought you didn't think I was gonna call you?
I was like, please. Only because I don't really understand the question.
Yeah, so like, people say experience is the best teacher, but does a man agree with that sentiment when it comes to the woman that he wants to be with?
I feel like after the conversation about molding and coaching, probably not. I got a lot from that previous question. So, I mean, hearing from people, it seems like it's not.
Yeah. Anybody else?
Yeah, I think it is the best teacher, but I don't think it's always welcomed. I think it depends on the person that you're dealing with, the type of person that you're dealing with, and what his ideals are. So if you're dealing with a man who prefers, or not even prefer, but even subscribes to the idea that it's better to date a younger woman because they're more coachable and moldable and things of that nature, then they're not going to be receptive to the experience that an older woman has and brings to the table. But if you're dating someone who is not of that mind, or is at least open to a different type of perspective or different take on relationships, then they would be more receptive to it, and they would actually benefit from the experience that women bring, because it is valuable.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's sound. Anybody else? I think that was a great answer, actually. Asia. I mean, Dana.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Y'all shy? I ain't jumping on nobody else. Just bro.
I'm just trying to figure out how he gonna teach me to be a wife. He ain't been experienced.
And me, I know, right?
You didn't even hear what she said. You just talk. Here you go with the bobblehead shit.
Bobblehead all night long. What?
Until you fall asleep, right?
You don't stop defaming my name. I'm gonna sue you. I'm gonna sue you for slander because I never said that. Run the tape back. I never said that.
All right. John the Baptist, what's good, my brother?
How y'all doing today?
Good. Everything's good. So, John, you got question, comment, or smoke?
I want to start off with a question. I want to make sure I'm clear on what the young ladies are saying.
Go ahead.
I just left the gym, so if I sound windy, I got to bear with me for a second. So, the question is, do y'all think that a man can't teach his wife, or that he shouldn't teach his wife?
I think he can teach his wife things. I don't think he can teach her how to be a wife.
So what limitation do you put teaching on to a man?
I'm sorry, repeat that.
What limitations do you put on his teaching?
I don't put limitations on his teaching except for he can't teach her how to be a wife. He can teach her what he likes, but he can't teach her how to be a wife. Okay,
so I would agree with that if you're saying it's up to the mom and the dad to teach a daughter how to work with her husband.
Exactly. That's what I said. A father in an arranged marriage does not allow his daughter to get married to anybody until he feels she is ready to be a wife.
But now where we have to make sure, I want to make sure it's clear that when she moves into his house, she's still being taught how to be a wife to him. Because the only thing a mom and dad can do is teach you, show you. Actually, it's not even teaching. It's to give her an example through her mom how she submits to her husband.
Right.
And so it's not so much the parents are talking about anything, is they're watching. She's watching how her mom moves. And then so now, because she sees how her mom moves, she's submissive to her husband and his request and whatever he sets for the house to go, how he wants his kids to be raised. So now she sees, okay, my mom moved around my father this way. So now when she moves into her husband's house, she recognized, okay, now he comes with a different set of rules and expectations. So what she did in her father's house may not work in his house.
I agree.
But what she needs to learn is from her mother is her demeanor, her attitude, how she responds to his instructions and directions. Right. So now when she goes into his house, she's learning. What she learned from her mom, she's now copying that behavior with her husband.
Right. That's what I said. I said he can teach her what he likes. But she's already, again, the father is not going to let his daughter go unless he knows that she has observed the mother's behaviors on how to be a wife.
Okay. We can rock with that one. Next question then would be, and I want to make sure I got this correct. I think this is Miss Love. Can you explain again what you mean by red flags?
The red flag concerning coaching wanting a coachable woman? That one?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So, I mean, I can say what I said, and you can tell me if you need further clarification. So, when the super chat was something like, men want a younger woman because they can be coached versus an older woman has already been coached. So, being able to be coached versus how already has been coached. And I said that's a red flag because it gives the implication that you want someone that you can train and that has no experience, and it's like reminiscent of a puppy. Like I just can't think of any other way around it. Like it's reminiscent of a puppy. Like you want to train your puppy. And women, I think that's according to what Ro was saying, you can train what you like. Like you can tell me what you like. If you like dinner at 5 p.m. versus 7 p.m. If you like your eggs cooked hard versus it over easy. If you that kind of thing. But as far as coaching her, it just gives very domineering, and I'm kind of bordering abuse. That's the implication that kind of comes along with the word coach versus already been coached. And I gave also the example of the assumption that she's being coached by another man, and that's what her experience is shaped around another man. And there's an assumption, a wrong assumption in that. So
what's wrong with being domineering?
Because it has some abuse, like it borderlines abuse. Domineering, being a leader and being domineering, two different things. Domineering is more like towards tyranny. Mm-hmm. Leadership, we all want leadership. You can lead me, but not being a tyrant. And domineering is more of a characteristic of a tyrant.
Okay, so when it comes to what a man is looking for, and he says he's looking for a young woman that's coachable, mm-hmm. Why does that automatically assume something bad? Okay, so if your father, as young, I forget see a young lady at the bottom who just spoke, trained you to be a wife, and your parents trained you to be a wife, and they gave you over to this young man to be married to. He's looking for a young woman that's coachable, that's teachable. Why do we have to extrapolate that he's going to be dominating or something evil with that? Why can't we just assume that he's teaching you and coaching you how he wants you to move in his relationship with him? Why do we assume that that he doesn't have our best interests at heart?
Because it's very one way. And if you also rock with what Rose said, it further goes into that conversation. It's along the same lines of conversation. So again, it's not a one-way street, because if he can coach her about what he likes, he should also take care into what she likes as well. So it's getting to know one another, getting to know one another's likes, getting to know.
Okay, so you believe in dual leadership then?
That has nothing to do with leadership. You think I want to lead, I want you to know what I like? That's where we can disagree. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about that. I didn't say dual leadership. I said what I like as well. So okay, I
want to make sure we're clear. I guess I want to make sure we're clear. Are you talking about sex only? Talking about the relationship in general?
No, definitely not just sex. It's overall relationship.
Okay, so the reason why, so most of you guys already know. If you don't know, I will let you make sure that you understand where I'm coming from. Coming from a biblical point of view, in Ephesians, it actually teaches that the woman should submit to the man, as the church will submit to God. Now, one of the things that Christ teaches, one thing that Christ does several things that Christ does for the church is this: he teaches, he corrects, he leads. And so when you look at the facet of what Jesus does, this is the model that he does for marriage as well. So everything that you talk about, you're looking for someone who is teachable, who accepts correction, and is willing to follow you. Same way the man has to follow Christ, and he has to be led to be correctable, he has to be teachable. The same thing you have to do to me is I have to do Christ as well. So when a man says he's looking for one that's teachable and coachable, you can't judge every man to the worst scenario, to the common worst scenario, excuse me. You can't judge every man to the worst denominator. You should judge him with the intent that he's going to be a good husband. He has my best interest at heart. I think when I get lost in these conversations, we judge every man to the worst character rather than he has my best intention. So when he looks for a young woman that's coachable and teachable and correctable, he's going to lead her the right way.
John, why do you assume?
No, let me go ahead. Nay, you can jump in. Let me just read the super chat.
Yeah.
Mike Brown with the $10 super chat. It is more about the man being able to lead his daughter as a husband to be than her being ready to be a wife. That's why men give their daughter away to Ro. Go ahead, Nick.
As you were quoting Ephesians 5:24, all I kept thinking is, are these men submitting to Christ? Because you're saying that the wife should be submitting to you as the husband. But first, that husband should be submitting to Christ. So is he submitting to Christ in order for her to submit to you as the husband?
And that would be
men are doing that.
Well, then if your father gave you away to a man who's not submitted to Christ, that's your father's fault. Or if
But
you
that's an
picked a
arranged
man,
marriage, though.
or if you picked a woman, I mean, if you picked a man on your own that didn't submit to Christ, that's your fault. Because every woman, no woman should really, and I know y'all don't like hearing, I don't like, that's not a public conversation in this day and time, but no woman should pick her own husband. But because we live in a liberated society, women pick their own husbands now. So you pick men who don't submit to Christ, and you get what you married to. So you don't want to submit to a man, even if he did follow Christ. A lot of women don't want to submit because they don't want to follow anyone else's leadership. People are independent. They want to do what they want to do.
Man,
We don't want to follow bonehead leadership. Like, I don't appreciate the assumption that everybody is worth following or everybody is worthy of being a leader. So you don't want us to assume that people who want to coach younger women have bad intentions. You shouldn't also assume that every man is capable of leading, that has they have the capacity to lead, they have the know-how, they have.
I don't think I did that. I don't think I did that, because if you listen to me, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Let me cut you off. Go ahead.
Let me just put the super chat real quick. One pill with a $5 super chat. Protection is one way as well, but men don't complain about that, love. Go ahead, Danny.
I'm just saying, like, I don't appreciate I feel like there is an assumption that every man is worthy of leading a woman, and that we have nothing to bring to the table. We have only things to learn from them, and we can only be taught by them, and we know absolutely nothing about anything. And it's asinine to me.
Yeah.
I think you took my words out of context, because I specifically said,
tell me how,
that as a man follow Christ.
Yeah.
I specifically said that. And then, so now the idea is that you shouldn't pick a man. Your father should pick a man for you, or give the final approval for you. And so that way you don't get what you're talking about now, a man who can't lead. Because a man can tell another man can lead. Another man can tell another man when another man is insufficient or can't handle certain situations. A man can see that.
I understand what you're saying, but for the sake, and I don't disagree with that point that you're making, but for the sake of conversation, since everyone here is not Christian, all of the listeners are not Christians, can we speak on a broader sense as well? Because every man is not under the leadership of Christ, right? Or under the tutelage of Christ. Everyone is not a follower of Christ. So what about all of those people, all of those relationships, all of those men who want to have younger women, who want to lead younger women? Chaotic, all of Chaotic's followers. Chaotic don't fuck with Christ, but he want to lead. He want a young woman. He's the biggest advocate of this bullshit. And that's what I'm saying. Like, when you have people like that who are pushing this agenda to lead and to coach women and whatever, but they don't have anything of substance that they have to even offer the woman, because they don't have the proper training or tutelage or whatever. You understand?
So to answer your question,
John, before you finish though, I just want to make sure that it's clear. So John made a very distinct point about men that's following Christ. If a woman doesn't pick said man, then some of that onus is on her for the outcome. I was going to make sure that his point was understood with that.
I understood and agreed with it.
He also said that a woman shouldn't pick her own husband. That's outside of even being a Christian. So then he's saying, so then he's saying if your father picks your husband, the onus is on him, right? To make sure he finds a man and picks a man or qualifies a man for you that can lead, which doesn't even have to necessarily have anything to do with Christianity.
This is a lot of shoulda, coulda, wouldas, but we're in a society where most of us, or the majority of us, come from single parent households. They don't have fathers.
So I came with single parent homes. I came with single parent household too.
I did not.
I'm gonna speak on what you just said though.
Okay.
So what I'm gonna tell you is, when I became an adult, I looked at even when I was a child, I looked at what I grew up in, and I looked at then as I got older, I looked at what worked and what didn't work. I did not emulate and follow the things that didn't work. I only followed things that did work. So even if you grew up in a broken home, I would pretty much bet your paycheck to my paycheck that I come from the most broken situation you can come from. But it doesn't. But it's not an excuse though, because you have a choice in society to look at what you want to do. If you don't want to follow the model that I talked about, you don't have to. You don't have to follow the Christian principles. You don't have to. No, I'm not saying you. I'm just being clear for a second. You can follow whatever model you want to, but then whatever choice you choose, those choices come with consequences. You can control your choice, but you can never control your consequences.
I understand that, but I'm speaking to the point that you made about women shouldn't even choose their own husbands. Their father should choose them for them. So I'm speaking about women who don't have fathers.
Then you should surround yourself with men who have your best interests.
Okay.
So,
and I'm not and I don't mean any sexual. I mean just men who generally.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean.
So wait, I want to get, because Miss Nay been patient. She's been trying to talk. Just as a microcosm, Ro, Dana, Sis, Lex, Isha, Love, have dads. Right? So when we make these points, we understand, but even in a microcosm, there are representatives up here that have fathers that could guide them to those situations where John Baptist has described. Go ahead, Ms. Nay.
I was going to ask, so what about those, because I didn't grow up with my actual father, I grew up with a stepfather in the church.
Yeah, that's what he's saying.
Yes, who would choose for me, but did not choose the right type of person and wanted me to go according to the Bible and everything. They end up choosing for me someone who was extremely abusive to me. So how do you handle something like that? Because I don't think that you should always say, okay, well, what the father chooses, because the father may not be choosing wisely. And you may say, I don't want that for myself. So now you're making the decision on your own outside of what your father would choose. And if I would have went with my actual father, oh, that's another story.
Well, we got to make sure you have to have discernment, understand that every man that's in the church or every woman that's in the church may not be actually in the church. So you know, if your father or stepfather is not displaying the actual tenets of the teaching of the faith that you may practice, or the principles, let's take it outside of religion. If he teaches principles that you know are destructive to you or to society, why would you listen to that stepfather or that father?
Then you make the idea.
The ideal is that you would know. The ideal is you would look for someone who displays those principles and characteristics and morals that you want to be in a husband. So your family is not just people that's in your house.
Mm-hmm. But then you have to have the ideal father figure around, so you even understand what that even is. Because how would you know if you don't have it?
You need to find same way as like I didn't know how to be a man. I had to learn this. My father was not a great example for me. My stepfather was not a great example for me. But what I did, I went and found other men who were great examples for me. See, when we grew up as kids from broken homes, we know what doesn't work. Mm-hmm. And so why would you want to copy something that doesn't work? Find something that works, make them your mentor, and then learn from them.
Yes, but I'm just going off of the fact that you said that women, if we choose it, is on us. Like it's almost like
correct.
We're at fault if we choose the wrong man. But then our fathers or father figures can choose the wrong person for us too.
I said the onus falls on the man. If he makes a bad choice for you, the onus falls on him because he chose for you.
So then we're gonna choose for ourselves.
You can do that. I'm just saying it's like the way it works is that if your father chooses, he's had more invested into you. And so you want a man who has these principles and standards that he actually lives himself. When he lives by these standards and principles, he's not going to give you to a man who doesn't have what he has and what he values. So the problem is you're talking about is there are some men, whether it be your stepfather or father, who don't have the values, but they gave you to someone that didn't have the values that you were looking for. And so just because they raised you don't mean that they may not have the values that stands to be a great father or a great husband. But then you have to learn, you have to make sure that you listen to your father, whether it be your father on earth or your father in heaven. I don't want to start teaching on Bible study, so I'm not gonna go too deep into that. But anyway, though.
Church.
So
I gotta.
Let me get. Yeah, go ahead, sis.
I just wanted to know, does he feel that older women are not coachable? Or do you go along with the sentiment that men should date younger women because they are so-called coachable?
One thing I know about, I'm 40. I'll be 49 tomorrow.
God bless.
So one of the things I do know is I don't care if it's man or I don't care if it's male or female. Once you get to a certain age, you're not really trying to learn. You're not really trying to learn a lot of stuff new. You do become stuck in your ways. You love a routine. Routine makes life more comfortable for you. So therefore, it works out better for. So to answer your question directly, men want younger women because they're more coachable. They adapt to change quicker. I've been married for 28 years, and me and my wife we have established a routine now. If I change that routine, it's gonna be difficult now because she's been moving this way consistently for 28 years. It's nothing negative. It's just what it is. It's easier. Myself as an older man, I'm not trying to change my whole life upside down right now. I'm gonna be resistant to change. So why do we think that women won't be resistant to change once you get to a certain age?
Because let me address that. Because we understand entering a relationship, there has to be compromises. You're learning one another. And so that does not mean that because we're older that everyone has a routine. You can be younger and have a routine, but you still adapt. You adapt to your new circumstance, your new environment. That's a part of being an adult. That's a part of being an evolving being. So that I want to be very clear. We're not talking in theory and esoterically. We're talking practically and real amongst critically thinking adult women on this panel. And I think sometimes that gets lost in these comments and people come up here and talk to us. We are critical thinking, analytical women. And so, no, wait, please, sir, wait.
Oh no, I'm not. I'm listening to you.
We understand. We're not stupid. When we enter into a relationship, we know there's going to be adapting. We understand that. That's with anybody. So yes, we can submit if we choose to, right? Some women don't believe that. Most of us do though. There's nothing wrong with submission. We want to submit to the right man, of course, and whatnot. We're not being led down a wrong path. But we also, of course, like our routine, like everybody else does, but we know how to adapt. And I want that false narrative to disappear. Like, let's be real
So can I ask you a question then? Is it easier to learn? Is it easier to unlearn, then learn, or just learn?
What's that to do with what I just said about adapting to a new environment? Honestly, I'm not even being funny. Like, it's like you're talking in riddles. I'm saying directly.
It's all about adapting, and it's all about adapting, right? So the question I'm asking you is it easier to unlearn then learn again, or just learn the first time? And dealing with a man.
Takes long. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'll let you answer.
So of course, there's an extra step if you have to unlearn something, then learn something new. Of course, that's common sense. I'm talking about adapting, and that has nothing to do with age. If I'm coming into a new job, I may have done it one way at this job. I learned at this new culture at this new job. Like, I don't know. I'm not saying why we're missing each other on. No,
you're not. I do understand. I understand what you're saying too, and that's what I'm gonna try to explain it another way. So correct. I've been in my field for over almost 30 years. 15 years I worked for one company. I left that one company, went to another company. But now when I left one company, went to the next, I couldn't do what I did at the old company because the new company didn't want it done this way. Had to unlearn the last position in the last company and now move according to the new company.
Yeah.
But now when I first came into the industry, They just had to teach me in my industry. I was young. I was 20 years old, 23 years old, and so all they do was just teach me what they wanted me to do at 23.
Yeah.
But when I transferred in my mid 30s to another company, had to unlearn the last company and learn the new companies.
Mm-hmm. Let me read this real quick. Kevin C with the Honduras 75 is $3.
$3.50.
$3.50. We understand that fathers can make the occasional mistake in evaluating other men, but most do much better job than women do on their own.
Correct.
One more. Mike Brown with the $5 super chat. Thanks, my brother. Thanks, John. Younger are more adaptable. Older being not so adaptable. Take coaching out of it. Yeah, I mean, even when I hire people, I'd rather hire people who don't come from other companies that do what we do, because I have to literally teach them, and they have to like take all the foolishness or whatever they learn out of it. So I prefer to get people who have good traits, like they work hard, they're disciplined, they're gonna be on time, and I can show them how to do the job.
I think we're thinking that women and men think the same. We don't. A woman, the point being is, it doesn't matter what age a woman is. She just needs to understand the principle of leadership. And if she understands that, she's going to adapt to any change that man throws at her, because she trusts in his leadership. And purpose has always got to be the foundation. And if they're working on the same purpose, why would she come against anything that this man tells her?
I like that, Isha.
I think also
experience will sometimes make her do that, because she has experience in certain areas and certain things that sometimes it's hard for her to break her experience and listen to something else that's new. Not saying that she wanted, not. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
There's men out here who could meet a woman and that woman will totally submit and be just different. We experienced that when Hank came on the podcast. We felt different. It's a different vibration. So we can adapt and we will submit if the man is right.
Yeah,
I respect and value relationships differently when we're a little bit older and you've had more experience. But go ahead.
I think the display on what happened with Hank was awesome, but I think John has come very profound in what he's been saying, and I don't think it should be dismissed because we don't agree. I think what Isha just said, I think is valid. I also think Isha learned that in the last couple years, which is shout out to her. But I just feel like Isha's an outlier, because I don't think people change. I think they mask. I think Dana and I agreed on that, and they can kind of control some of them urges and not do certain things, but that'll always be them.
I think traumatic situations make people change too. I think that if you have been through something traumatic and you don't want to go through it again, that's that touching the hot stove. You're not going to touch it again because you got burnt. You don't want to, you don't want to do it again. And I think that those experiences should be valued in teaching, particularly us women. Like I said, that have been divorced. I learned a hard lesson, and I had to learn that I had to learn how to submit to a man, but I also had to learn that it's a certain type of man that I'm going to submit to. Mm-hmm. I had to learn that.
See, and I agree with you, but I think what we disagree is that we have to understand what men like. Men don't value experience in the sense of no. Okay, go ahead. I want to be real.
I agree with you. I agree with you. I think that men don't like Hamp said, he don't want to go to the same restaurant his wife went to because she already experienced it, and he wants to be the one to expose her to stuff. I got that part. What I mean by experience is, as I said, when a woman, and like Sis said, when a woman comes across a man that she feels she can submit to, she's going to submit. She trusts him. She's confident that he's not going to hurt her. She'll feel secure. She'll feel stable. That is about submission. It is it, and we will do whatever you ask us to do. If we feel those things, if we can quantitatively determine that you're going to keep your word, we're going to submit to you.
It's called the soft girl ever job.
Why is
That's
the
what it's called.
caveat? Why is the caveat always if you don't hurt us? If you wills, why is it that you just can't find a man that's worth submitting to the very first time?
Oh no!
Why
Well,
why
you
why
know,
no
No.
come
no
on
no
now.
no
Who's
no
doing
no
that?
no
Giving their trust off the
Come
bat?
on, John. Come on, John.
no
You know, wait now,
That's
for real,
naive.
for real.
That's what you
Now
get
wait.
from a younger woman.
I'm gonna use the work analogy like using. I'm in HR. You know good and well that you was not gonna pick that job if that job was not giving you more money or more time or whatever it is that you needed to make this change from the company you have been at for so many X amount of years. You wasn't making that change unless you knew that they were going to give you something where you valued it, right?
What I'm saying is though, we always work from a negative. We always work. When I hear women sometimes talk about this, you speak from the negative from the very start.
Your job,
So,
as a husband is to protect and provide.
and I'm not disagreeing with that.
In those two duties, that includes stability and security. If I can't trust you, that's creating instability.
And that's what I'm okay. That's what I was trying to say. That's what I was trying to clarify. So that's what I was trying to say. So let me clarify again. What happened in your first relationship that made you deal with a man that hurts you? Because what I'm trying to say is we should never start off from a negative when we do into relationships. He should have to prove that he shouldn't have to prove himself because of what the first man did.
That has nothing to do with it. That's for anything. That's any man. That's
You have
any
to show yourself
friend.
worthy.
Anybody.
So
We're all proving
I
ourselves.
think the key with the analogy though, the job knows your qualifications. Like they can see them on paper and therefore they hire you for them. If you were divorced, you got fired, how desirable is that?
Well, I didn't get fired. If I initiated, I left.
I don't know if you got fired or not.
Well, I'm just telling you, it was my choice. And so I don't ever get fired anywhere, and that's including my real life jobs.
Women make poor choices of leaving men because they're not happy.
That's another point.
We're gonna make decisions whether or not we feel stable and secure.
Let me ask you a question. Do you are y'all serious? Do you think that men are sitting up here thinking that, yeah, y'all gonna be agreeable, y'all gonna listen? I mean, come on, it's not realistic. What he's saying is factual.
I'm not
People,
saying
even if a kid, look, good God Almighty, I can't even finish a sentence.
I'm not saying I agree.
Go ahead, Ro. Go ahead, Ro. You're 100% correct, bro. You're 100% correct, bro. I cut you off. I cut you off while I was talking. Yeah, bro. I cut you off while I was talking. You 100% correct. I don't know how. The first time in history, I cut you off while I was talking. Kids, even learning, you learn better as you're younger. It's just unrealistic for older people to just flip. It just old dog new tricks is just very unreasonable. For y'all to sit up here and act like, no, we can all do it. That shit just don't seem plausible.
It is though, and it occurs.
Said that, Ham. It just sounded like what we were saying. Like you want to be able to manipulate the mind of somebody who's younger, and when it's older, you feel like you can't teach us anything. But if you are leading correctly, yes, you can. That's the whole thing about this soft girl everything. That's like this new wave. Yes, if you have the right person by your side, they can get you to kind of like, you know, I can do that. I can let my guard down a little bit. You can change. You are adaptable to change with the right person. Yes, you are.
Where'd the guard come from? Where'd the guard come from?
So remember
because your traumatic experiences.
Where did guard come from?
Because of your traumatic experiences, like Bro said.
And that's the point. That's the main point is that you're dealing with trauma, and so when I met my wife, she has the earlier I meet my spouse, the less she's dealt with in life.
I don't believe in that because I work in CPS. I know these children experience more trauma than I've experienced as an adult, and they carry that and it comes out as they get older in age. So you can't say that age depicts how much trauma a person is going to experience because that's absolutely.
I can say that. This is what I can say with a certain certainty. That on average, that if a person lived 19 years. Another person lived 45 years. On average, I can average out that person who lived 45 years have seen more in life than that 19-year-old has.
But doesn't
Now,
mean
it doesn't mean every certain circumstance, but it does mean on average, I have a better shot with a person who lived less than a person who lived longer.
If they have undealt with trauma, that's not true.
Okay, what I'm saying to you is the person. What I just said. Listen to what I just said. I'm gonna say it again. If you live 19 years or 45 years, on average, you've seen less at 19.
Now, you're right, but don't you think that a 19-year-old will respond to trauma differently than a 45-year-old person?
At 19, I can teach. At 19, I can teach. I can teach her how to handle it sooner rather than later. Because if you go from 20 to 45, now you have 25 more years of trauma that hasn't been dealt with in a healthy way. If I teach a 20-year-old when she first has an experience, I can teach her the correct way how to handle certain experiences.
So you want her after she's already dealt with it and not try to get with her to teach her that? You should want her to already have dealt with her traumas before you get with her.
I don't want to deal with women with trauma in general. That's why I was trying to say in the beginning, experience. What I'm trying to say is, we have to stop in the Black community starting a relationship from a negative position. We need more healthy fathers, more healthy mothers working together to get rid of the drama, so that you're not starting from a negative. We promote starting from a negative going into relationships. That's a bad way to start.
So I just want to say this super duper quick. Hamp, if you recall, I think we were all on that panel. Mm-hmm. When he came on the panel, he sat there and said he does the one pot rule, right? We all were like, ooh. We listened to him talk for maybe 10 minutes or less, right? At the end of him talking about it, we were like, okay, I can rock with that. Like we had actually, our mindset had shifted to considering it. And it wasn't as bad as we thought, because it was the delivery behind it and how he approached the situation, saying he would have communication, he would talk. Like it was very inclusive and loving surrounding that. It was not, I'm going to say this and you're going to do that. It wasn't that way. It's all about how you treat the situation. And so I'm bringing that up because we are older women from the standard, I guess, and we adapted and changed our minds. And we had a paradigm shift in saying that's not so bad from what we originally thought after he gave his explanation. There is a way to deliver a message is all I'm saying, and how to have an inclusive, loving environment to help us, and we will adapt. And that was proven on the podcast.
Yeah, I think that conversation was a little bit different of a conversation. I also think John has been very measured, very understanding, very diplomatic. He allowed everybody to jump in. Ro had the nerve to try to keep talking over me, and she don't even got no microphone. They can't hear shit she's saying when I edit it out, and I'm gonna mute her while I'm editing. But John has been very fluid. He hasn't said a single thing out of order or anything. But because we don't like it, we acting like his what was your messaging for? It wasn't for me, because it couldn't have been for John.
Who are you talking to?
You. Like, he didn't say anything out the way at all.
I agree. He didn't say anything disrespectful. We're having a dialogue. And so when we're talking, we're making points. It's like our points aren't even being acknowledged. It's like I'm listening to respond. That's
John?
Yes.
I thought I addressed every issue that was addressed.
The points.
No, I don't think all that. I don't think all the point. Okay.
I ain't John. So John has actually replied to you guys everything he was saying. And then when he's talking, we shaking our heads.
Can I say something? I actually appreciate this dialogue very much with John. I think that of the guests that we've had, he's probably one of my favorites. And I do appreciate the conversation, even though it does seem to kind of be a little bit roundabout and a little cyclical. A little bit, but I do think that he has been listening, and we've had an interesting dialogue. But I do have one question before Kev jumps on, because I don't know how much time I'm gonna have once he gets to
Y'all ain't shit, man.
You're right. I'm an ancient ass nigga, but I got a question. I'm gonna get it
Man,
out
read the
real
super
quick.
chat after your question for me.
All right, I'm gonna read it before. Shout out to Mike Brown with a $2 super chat. What about following correctly? And it's kind of tied into my question too. But I just wanted to go back a little bit because John made the point, and also Kev, before he got on, was making the point about fathers and the parents, and we kind of got away from that. And I just had one question I wanted to circle back to really quickly. John made the point that if you don't have a father in your life, that it's your job to seek out a father figure, a village, somebody who can select a husband for you, who will make good decisions, who will encourage you, who will lead you in the right direction, right? So my question is, John, how is it that we're capable of seeking out a man to step into the role of a father figure for us, to make a decision to choose a husband for us, but we're incapable of choosing a husband for ourselves?
I think you can't. Well, this is what I've learned. To answer your question, this is what I've learned over the years. I kind of went through the same thing when I was looking for a father figure to raise me, because I didn't know what a father figure looked like because I didn't have one. One of the things I did was I had to learn what I didn't want and then compare it to what I do want. And so I had to find men who were willing to invest in me the time to let me, I can like how a little kid just walk behind them and kind of learn the little scraps they drop off, learn from the scraps they drop off, and learn how to serve in a way that they would invest the time in me to teach me what I did not know. And so when you come from a broken situation, this is what you end up doing. As a female, you're kind of doing the same thing. You're trying to find men who you can trust would have your best interest, that can invest in you in the time that you would need to learn from them what a father figure or a husband would look like. Because when you come from a broken situation, it becomes more difficult to see this. So you have to look for creative avenues, because what happens is our mothers failed us in getting us the men that we needed to learn. So we have to take up the role of our mother, what our mothers did, what our mothers taught us.
Yeah, I get that, but I just don't understand why you feel like we're unable to apply that same discernment.
For the same reason why I couldn't do it. I had to find a man that could teach me.
Okay, I'll take it. I think you're missing it, but I'm not going to harp on it.
No, I get what you're saying. You try to say why. You're asking me the question: if you can't pick a husband, how can you pick a father figure? Correct?
Kinda. Okay.
No, I don't want to say kinda. If I'm not, that's not what you're asking me. I want to be clear.
Okay. To be perfectly clear, I'm saying, how is it that if we don't have a father figure, if a woman does not have a father, rather, and we're trusting somebody, we're seeking someone that we can trust to select a husband for us, how, without having a father and knowing what that looks like and what it's supposed to be, we're able to do that. But without having a husband and knowing what that's like and experience that and knowing what that's supposed to be, why are we able to do one but not the other?
Okay, I'm gonna be clear. I'm gonna go back and be clear and say it this way. I'm gonna be clearer. You're working from a negative. It's impossible for you. It's almost impossible for you to pick a husband before someone teaches you. The problem is our mothers failed us in getting us men that can teach us, whether it be a husband or either be a son or to be a daughter. Our mothers failed us in getting us what we need. So now what happens, because our parents failed us, we now have to become our own parents. And so we have to seek the people that can teach us what our parents did not teach us. I'm not saying it's gonna be perfect. I'm not saying it's gonna be easy. What I'm saying is, this is what you have to do. You have to teach yourself what your parents didn't teach you. I don't know another way to say it other than that. Is that, like, because our parents failed us, we have to now learn on our own, which puts us in a vulnerable situation to be taken advantage of. But the thing is, once we learn though, we have to make sure that we teach our kids so we can stop the cycle a broken family. So the next generation doesn't experience that.
I get it, but you're explaining the why and not really. It's okay. I'm not going to harp on it. We can move on.
So
Why
I
instead
think
of the how?
I have to agree. I have to agree to a large degree. I have to agree with that last statement. But I just wanted to ask: is being coachable even with being attractive for men who are seeking women?
I'm sorry. Repeat that question.
Yeah. So since you saying does being coachable outrank beauty?
Yeah.
That's every man's standard. I look personally. I look for attraction. It's okay, but I want to know who are you willing to work with me more than the attraction. There has to be some attraction there, but you have to have the willingness to work with me and to the ability to follow and learn.
Sis, for the general public, he ain't gonna know if you're agreeable or not if you ain't attractive. So you could be as agreeable as ever. If you ain't pretty, put him in the bathroom. You know what I mean? John could talk that shit, but if his wife wasn't gorgeous, right? And I haven't seen
attraction. I think I said attraction is important. Attraction is there. You want attraction there, but attraction is not gonna keep you if I talk with you for a couple of days and you're not there. You can't follow me. If you're not agreeable, you're not gonna be there with me.
Definitely, I think they're pretty close.
If I met two women, one was attractive, and let's say one was an 8 and then one was a 4.
Mm-hmm.
And I talked to both of them, and I had time to know both of them. And one was agreeable. Let's say the 8 was less agreeable, and the 4 was attractive. Was less attractive, but more agreeable. I'm gonna go to the ones that make my life easier.
All right, John, you was doing good. All right,
but that's where
I don't believe that.
No, you don't have to. I'm not asking you to believe it, because what I've learned in my years of living is that beauty is vain.
Yeah, it's fleeting.
So what I'm looking for the thing that's okay. You can be attractive, but after I talk to you for a while, you can appear ugly to me. But I've talked to some women that are average looking or below average looking, but because of their spirit, you become attracted to them. Now that's not average, but it's what you value.
Yeah. There's some outliers for sure. John, let me get.
Go ahead, man. I enjoyed the conversation, bro.
Thanks,
you have something for John? Sis, do you have something for John, sis?
Well, I was just gonna say to you, I wasn't comparing John and Hank. Different energy, different vibe, different topic, like you said. But why does Will think we're sensitive? Just because we're having a conversation?
No, I didn't even read it yet. I'm about to read it. I just want to make sure. Hey, John, did you anything else for the ladies? Hey, John, you've been a hell of a caller, man, for real. I appreciate the questions, comments. I think you had some smoke in there too, for sure. Anything else for the ladies?
Man. I enjoyed it. No, I think they addressed everything I wanted to talk about. I enjoy y'all conversation that y'all do have too. I think y'all got a great panel. I'm John the Baptist for a reason, because I'm a little bit different than normal society. If you know anything about the character John the Baptist, I don't really follow everyday society. I kind of walk to the beat of my own drum.
Yeah.
So you everything I said won't be a YouTube talking point. So I think that's why sometimes people agree with me, sometimes people don't, and some people don't, because I don't go with everybody else go. But I want to say this conversation that y'all have on these panels, it's some good conversations though, y'all do. Yeah. But I enjoyed it.
Thank you, my brother. Hey, John, do me a favor. Leave your email in the back chat.
Okay, I'll do that.
All right, my brother. Be safe. You heard?
Yep.
All right.
Later, John.